everybody, and welcome back to Chatting the Podcast with your girl, Nyla Nisharie, where we talk all about real talk from real people with real perspectives, and we're having the conversations that matter. And today we are talking about diversity and representation in mainstream media, and who else than my mentor, my big sister, the It Girl.
It Girl.
Cover girl.
I'm screaming.
Kaylynn Pride.
Hi,
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. Literally.
Oh my goodness.
So excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. I'm proud of you. Before we start, can I give you your flowers?
Listen,
if that's okay.
The stage is yours right now.
Oh no. I just wanted to say I'm so proud of
Thank you.
With you starting your podcast, you graduating, we've had conversations before about the future and things like that.
Yes.
And I feel like so far, you branching out on your own and doing this for yourself, this is a good step.
Yeah.
I've been watching her for a long time.
Yeah.
Watching over her for a long time, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So, I'm just really proud of everything that you've accomplished so far, and you're going to go far. I have no worries whatsoever.
That means so much, literally, because, I remember first coming to DSU and Nia being like, do you know Kaylynn Pride?
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, I'm going to figure. Shout out to Nia Pope, first guest. Do you know Kaylynn Pride? Okay, well, you need to know Kaylynn Pride.
No,
and
she
because
didn't.
this is DESU TV, and if you're gonna play a part, you gotta know who. You know what I'm saying? And then we went to Morgan Poole. We got it all
down the line.
But yes, I'm so grateful that you came here, and I'm like, for this topic, I feel like nobody else can really hit home the way that you can. So
okay, I got you.
Now let's give the people a little spiel on yourself, what you do, your passions, things of that nature.
Well, like she said, I am a Delaware State University alum, a proud alum. I love, state. I love my HBCU, truly do. I was also a mass communications major before Nyla. Like she said, I ran the TV station down there, and the time that I had there, I was very, very, very into my craft because I knew I wanted to be successful.
Yeah.
I didn't play around about school in my time. I knew I had 4 years to get in and get out, and that did not mean just go to class and go back to my room. Forget that. Don't forget that. So go to class.
Remember that, but do the extra.
Go the extra mile.
Yeah.
Like Nyla just said. I did everything to make sure that, I was going to be knowledgeable because I knew, I wanted to be in TV. I knew that. There was no doubt about it. I felt and even to this day, with everything that I have personally gone through, I still feel this is for me. God ordained me to be in this field, in this industry in some capacity.
Yes.
So I did everything that I could to make my way. I had a whole bunch of internships, and it led me to a local station here in Wilmington. Well, not here, but in Wilmington, Delaware. And I'm excited for my future.
Yes,
it's so bright.
Yes,
it's so bright.
Yes,
and I'm so excited. So that's just a little bit, just a little spiel, a little
catch up, so that people know who talking about what we about to talk about.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? And so I will say too. So you talked about being in kind of news, things like that. So where did that passion start from? Because I know you said you knew you wanted to be informed, but I know even being in journalism, especially as a Black woman, if you're going to come, you got to come hard, know what you're talking about, have all the evidence, have everything in order. So where did that passion kind of stem from for you?
For me, okay, so fun fact, the reason why I felt like I wanted to go into TV, let's not even get into news yet, TV in the first place was because I grew up as a performer, right? So I've been on a stage in some capacity my whole life. People have been watching me from the age of 3 perform and dance or do gymnastics or sing or whatever. I
Spotlight.
did it. In the spotlight, quite literally. So I was like, okay, why not, do this maybe in front of a camera? It might not be a full live audience I'm used to, but it's kind of similar. And so I feel like the news part kind of came about more so in college. Scratch that. High school.
Okay.
No, a lot of people really don't know this. Most people don't know this at all, but I feel like I was introduced to journalism in high school when I actually did this like summer program with WHYY in Philly. And I had no idea what I was doing.
That's what internships are for, though, you know?
No idea what I was doing. Had zero clue. But it was one time when there was actually like something big going on in Philly, and they brought us students down to, you know, this area where all this controversy was going on. I don't want to bring it up. And there was a bunch of real life reporters, and like I was there too, like microphone in hand, and I was the person asking this very prominent official in Philadelphia, you know, these questions and interviewing him. And I'm looking around like, I'm like 16.
Yeah.
And there's like channel 6, channel 3, channel 10, this station, that station. Everyone's around me. I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I think that was when I was like, okay, like, all right, Kaylynn, let me start really paying attention to what, you know, these people do, or like these Black women, I guess you can say, because, you know, growing up, I was compared to, her name was Melissa McGee. She was the meteorologist on Channel 6, ABC. She's now in LA, back in her hometown now, but I was compared to her a lot because I was a chocolate little girl, skinny, and very fit, and so was she. And the way I talked, and they just reminded people, I guess, of her.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But I started to kind of like, okay, and tried to like study her and mimic her and things like that. And I think that's what really sparked my first interest in maybe going into news in a sense. And then moving forward down the line, going to Del State, Mama Marine. Shout out to Dr. Marine
Yes.
at Delaware State University. Her and Zach.
Yes.
Hey, y'all. They really, especially her, really saw like my drive and my passion when it came to even just wanting to be involved in the TV station. Because you can speak to this, you know, Mass Comm is like one of the top 5 majors at Del State, or I think it still is.
But it is what you make it.
But it's what you make it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And let's be real. Can I talk real?
Listen.
Can I be real?
Real talk.
Real talk. Okay, real talk. There's always that rumor. It's not even it's a rumor.
It's a notion in the air.
It's a notion in the air that a lot of people get into Mass Comm because they think it's easy, so they can get a degree and get out.
And get out, right.
And that's why it's like one of the highest, you know, populated majors at Del State. But I wanted more than just that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like in each class, in each graduating class, there's a handful.
Yes.
A handful of people that
actually
are really
apply and invest that passion
into it. You know, my year, it was from my class specifically, me, Omar, shout out to Omar Jackson.
Yes.
Shout out to Eddie Blanco. He was like my favorite dreamer at Del State, but he went on to be a producer down in station down in
he
North
works
Carolina.
at the I know who that is.
I'm very proud of him and everything that he's even doing just now in general, because he was like my person my go-to at the time. But even, you know, people in classes under me, Nia, you, I know there's a handful of people. There's Chels. Hey, shout out to you, Chels.
But the comment,
the production. But again, there wasn't even like, I'm only naming a handful of people, and there's a lot more. But at the same time, like, you only saw the same people doing what,
and that feeds in to so much that we've talked about, because it's like people think that opportunities just whoop, here I am, and everything. And I think that's one of the biggest key takeaways I have from DSU is that your experience is what you make it. Like, some people told me, they're like, you went to school and you did this, that, and the third, because I knew I had to. Like, I ain't have much time. I
got 4 years to do this, okay? I don't, let's be real, let's talk about it. I didn't get into the classes that I need to get into the class until like junior year, like those.
Then when you really get involved in your major,
major, you don't do that your freshman, sophomore year. That's just something that doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
So that's because I remember Miss Knowles. She was my, what do you call them?
The advisor.
The advisor.
Oh, Gloria Knowles. I used to call her Beyonce.
Because
She had that last name.
Miss
Yep. She was my
Knowles.
advisor too.
I remember being in her office because, she's the advisors for like your first like couple years at Del State. And I'm like, okay, well, when do I get into TV2, TV3?
Right.
Like, when does that happen?
Right. And they're like, after your prerequisites.
And I'm like, well, I don't have time for that. I want to know it now. Like, my mother jokes. I'm a little impatient. Slightly.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
like,
I'm the same way.
Sometimes it's like, when I want it, I want it.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I don't take no for an answer. But I'm gonna make things happen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what I did. Like, off the back, freshman year, when I walked in, Mr. Chelly, he was, I don't know if you've heard of his name a few times here and there.
Yes.
I know that you'll have other people on who are older alum who might talk more about him, but
he seemed impactful.
He was, I didn't know him too well, but I just know moving day, I walked in and I barged in that man's office like, I'm Kaylynn Pride. I'm going to be this, that, and the third, and I want to work for the TV station. It's like the first day of school, like,
right? But you was there and you showed up.
Shoot. I showed up, and he was like, okay. And from day one, like, I was in a part of the TV station. He gave me my mentor. Shout out to Jada Grant. She's my pro. You're pro.
Period.
But she was before me. Reporter running around with like Morgan Poole and things like that, and. He stuck me under her, and from that day, like, I was running around trying to figure out, okay, what is this equipment? What cameras do I use?
How to tell your story. And now you're here.
I'm here.
You are telling the stories. Like, and that's big though too. Like, and so even with what you do, what I want to talk about before I even talk about that, you talked about your past history, like with entertainment, some of the people you've met. And I just think, I just have to touch on this because I just feel it in my life too, but it's so crazy. I think God's amazing. And the reason I say that is because I too did theater. I did dance. I did, a little bit of everything. And at the time, I'm like, I'm going to be Beyonce.
Yes.
Like, that's what I'm thinking. But it's like, no. God set that up so that I would know how to public speak. I don't mind getting a little active and, being myself in front of people or in front of the camera because of these past experiences.
Yes.
So want to attribute that because sometimes people think, okay, well, if you're going to be mass comm, you have to know from day one that you want to be a reporter. No. You want to be on TV. Like, you have to know that when it's like, girl, you got to just figure it out as you go.
And I feel like that's why it's important for people to really utilize their time when they're at Del State or just any college, wherever you are. And if this is what you think you want to go into, if you want to go into television, I'm going to tell you now, like, yes, I know for me, my goal is to strictly be talent. But let's be realistic. That's not always the case. You're not going to just get a job in the industry and think you're just going to be on camera the whole time like this. And you have to worry about nothing and you get to go home as soon as the camera's off and they say clear.
Because there's a lot of people that want that spot too.
That is not how it works. You're going to have to learn how to do everything.
Everything, yes.
Everything from writing. If you don't think writing is important, well,
it is.
You might as well...
Yeah.
Writing, production, Jesus, production. Like, if you've never attempted to pick up a camera and think you want to get into this field,
good luck.
I got something else for you. You're gonna have to learn how to do it. Like, even like where I'm last coming from now, I had to lug tripods, cameras, whatever around, shoot, edit, like.
It's not just showing up and being a face.
That's
like,
not it.
Yes.
Maybe down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but even those people, like, I know, like Oprah, she still signed all her checks.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she still knows about everything that's going on and every part that plays, because when you're serious, and also too, because it has her name. Like, when you work so hard to have your name on something, it's bigger than just that moment. It's its whole entity. Right. So no, you're so absolutely right about that. And with your experience, I think one of the big things, this is all about generational shifts, right? This series is all about generational shifts. And one thing I feel has become a thing, and I feel like you can attest to this working in that field, social media versus news coverage. Like, there are some people that think social media is like 100% credible source. type of thing. Now, it can be informative, let you know something.
Right.
But we're talking about real stories. We're talking about real talk. We're talking about credibility. Like, there is some sense, too, of, like, selective media as well. So, like...
I feel like, okay, well, when it comes to that, I feel like it definitely depends on the outlet.
Absolutely.
You know, and their credibility. Because if you look at it now, the world is going digital. Like, that's just kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying TV is fading. I'm not saying that at all. It's still very much relevant, but at the same time, you know, digital is taking over everything. So much so to the point that even these traditional television stations are now jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they have their own apps and things like that.
Because they're trying to stay relevant with...
And they're trying to, you know, now a lot of these stations have social media managers or strategists or whatever the case is, where, okay, now it's their job to literally take what's being reported and put it on social media.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In a blog format. Like how you see like the Shade Room or like... Shout out to Leah Dorsey.
Yes, the Link Entertainment.
You know, like, but formats and styles like that. And that's what most people are paying attention to, because all they have, most people, this is what they have.
Yep.
Their lives are here.
Yep.
You know,
so
their
they're
lives aren't so much here anymore. So, I feel like because a lot of these, like, credible stations are now turning towards social media. I'm not saying it's getting worse. I feel like it's getting better. I feel like at one point it was getting worse because they were still trying to hold on to, like, you know, the TV, like the traditional, like, no, like, stay up here,
tune in to watch.
Like, you know, but people aren't doing that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't even. It's so much to the point where that all the people do is stream.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nobody has any type of, like, no one's getting like Fios and Verizon.
Oh, I don't know the last time I had cable.
And cable, right? Most
like
people don't have cable.
The only people who got cable
like,
is people who trying to tune into the sports. If it's not on Roku, that's why they got it.
Exactly. And so because of that, I think this is even another reason why a lot of these outlets and these affiliates are moving in the direction of social media. And I think because of that, maybe it's becoming better. Maybe
a little bit.
Don't quote me. This is my personal opinion, but I'm just saying.
I feel like there's somewhat of a shift in terms of
because they're getting with the times.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
They're getting with the times.
But do you still feel like, because I hear a lot of people say this, and as someone a part of this generation, I know they're telling the truth, and to some extent, but like the comment of like Gen Z and like millennials are uninformed.
Very much so.
Like,
very much so.
I hate that. I hate that for us. I hate that for us, because it's like you just talked about, it's right here, but no one's using it.
Using it because that's, I won't say it, but like
she said,
I'm not trying to come at y'all, but at the same time, it's like they don't care.
And that's weird.
They care about, I want to be outside. Like, they want to, you know, that's like the focus of this generation.
But then what happens when outside? They told us, remember they said you can't go outside because there's fumes in the air. But you worried about being outside, and you can't even breathe the outside air.
The air quality was bad.
Air quality is bad.
Nobody was paying attention, and
y'all still were, even during a pandemic.
They're thinking, like, you know, I don't have asthma, so I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter if you have asthma or no asthma. It don't matter about no asthma. It matters about your health in general.
Yeah.
Like, are you reading? Are you paying attention to what's going on? I mean, obviously, you see the sky is orange, but you know, it's like.
But it's also like when you're just reading headlines, like, okay, bad air quality, not reading stories, like, and that's where I feel like the misinformation comes, because
I agree with that.
A lot of people will just skim the headline, read the first sentence of the caption, and be like, "Oh yeah, did y'all see?"
And because of and I will say that is because, and I feel like some of these like news outlets could be a little bit guilty of it too on occasion, but it's like YouTube, like they're trying to get like the best. Best punchline, clickbait. You know what I'm saying? I said punchline. But like, it's clickbait. Like they're trying to have like the best caption or whatever. So that, you know, people pay more attention to what they're saying. Whether it's completely accurate or not. Not to say that it's inaccurate, but you know, it might not to a reader's perspective.
It'll get you engaged, but it's not the whole story.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where we are to fault because, like, I think my dad taught me this when I was in school, like history. When we moved, when I went to high school, we're talking about certain history, and I'm just like, Dad, like, I want to know about our history. Like, why are we just learning about like Black history on Black History Month? Like, this don't make no sense. Or how come the only time we're talking about Black history is just talking about enslavement? Like, why is there no like uplift when we're talking about the history and where we've come today, right? And he said to me, nobody's stopping you from opening a book. Nobody's stopping you from taking the device that's right here and doing the research yourself. But I feel like nobody wants to do that, even with the whole implosion versus the migrants. Everybody talking about the implosion. I learned what it was, though. If you would have said implosion before, I wouldn't have known that it goes like this. But I learned that. But there was more going on in the world. And that's what sucks, because it's like people want to say, oh, I follow CNN or I watch the news, but it's beyond that.
It's beyond that. And then also, not everybody thinks that way, Nyla. Like,
I know.
Like, let's just be honest. You know, like, not everyone, you know, wants to pay attention to these type of things because they feel like, oh, it's something that doesn't affect me, so why it doesn't matter.
I hate that.
It's not even that. Even when it does affect them, like,
yeah,
it's still like,
I feel like we don't think about the bigger picture of everything. Like when we talked about for my capstone, race representation, we're talking about how, you know, sometimes with a lot of these news sources, we create stereotypes, or they create stereotypes by the way that they showcase Black people. Just overall, like, there's a reason Betty crossed the street when she seen Tyrone, because she thought she saw another Tyrone on CNN, and she was like, that looked like the boy who da-da-da, but they do that on purpose. And I feel like we're a generation that has not been conscious of that, and we need to get out of that. Because I feel like that's what's going to be the death of us, misinformation. Because if we talk, you know, I'm real historical with it.
Yes, you are.
But
Go ahead,
if
Nyla.
we talking about
I'm
back
listening.
in the day, and we're talking about there's a certain time in life where people in this country didn't want people that look like you and I to be informed. And now we have, and people were dying on behalf of voting, being informed. And now people don't think twice about that. And that's not us. That's what I be wanting people to see. It's not us. It's the socials. It's the news. But it's on us to do the work.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
I could talk about it all day. Stay woke, y'all.
Stay woke. But I will, if I could just add a little like nugget to that as well. Also, I don't want to say it's just a generational thing. It could also be like an educational thing as well, because a lot of people who are uneducated are also the most misinformed. If we really want to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not trying to like bring up politics or anything like that, but
real talk.
Look at look at all those people who didn't believe in, you know, Trump trying to overturn, you know, the election or things like that. But then now look
at us.
You know, now we're
still
where
under
we are
investigation
today.
yet again.
You know what I'm saying? Like, here we are, like a few years later. We're back.
Right.
And it's just like, that's because like
we weren't paying
misinformed.
Right, they were.
You know what I'm saying? And they didn't want to believe that because they didn't want to read these outlets and things like that, because it's all fake news. Even though things are like credible.
And I don't think people understand in order to post certain things like news websites now, they may be biased, but in terms of the story and what happened, they want to be the most credible because that's their brand at stake.
And then nowadays, here I go. I'm nervous. Nervous about this conversation. But now we're having certain news outlets being held accountable for giving out fake
misinformation,
news and misinformation.
Right. And that's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Which means pays attention to what you see.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
do your research.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that's big though. And so I guess So let's talk about future media.
Okay.
So for you, what do you hope to see like in this next decade of media evolution? You know, we see news sources are kind of finding their niche. Everybody's kind of finding their niche. You know, I got a little podcast. You know what I'm saying? So like, what do you hope for the future when it comes to media?
For the future, I mean, okay, I'm not really not okay. Can I say what I hope for the people?
Yes.
Okay. I really do hope that not only do these media outlets or organizations just start to recognize, you know, more so it's not so much about like the clickbait, but it's more so about, you know, the importance of what you're saying, but also just for the people to actually listen. Pay attention. That's really it.
Pay attention. Read the story, not just the headline.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I felt like that was like more of a thing before
Yeah.
than it is now.
But that's because my dad went to college and had to read a book to pass a class.
Yeah,
Now people go on ChatGPT and they find and they
their
get
way around everything.
cheating their way around everything.
And that's why, like, you know, again, you see these headlines and they think, oh, that's it, okay,
Yep.
but you're not really reading the full, you know,
because
the full
anybody can make a
story.
headline.
Anybody can.
Anybody can post on social. I can say
Anybody.
all cats give you COVID. Now everybody believes it. Like
Well,
that. It's like,
yeah.
and it's unfortunate, but to the point, read.
Yeah.
Do your research
Do your
and pay
research and
attention
pay
to more than just
attention.
headlines.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Hey,
That's
yeah,
really it.
yeah.
It's
Because
just-
in
it's
today
not
we can't
hard.
afford to not pay attention.
Yeah, no.
Because we're seeing what's happening. We got laws and policies
Yes.
changing, all kinds of stuff going on when we are not paying attention.
And then
Pay
they're
attention.
quick to blame others for things when they're not informed themselves. That's that. That's my 2 cents.
So to round it all off, how do you hope
Yeah.
to like add to that? Like I know me, that's why I started this whole podcast. I was like, I just feel like we need something to talk about something real. Like I'm tired of the surface level conversations, especially and we're talking about social media being so impactful. Let me try to use my social platform to have conversations that matter and to affect the people in a different light. So like, you know, I know that we're going through a transition period and all that, but what are kind of your goals? Because I know you're all about informing the public. So
Yeah.
what's something that you kind of hope? I know you've, you know, done it in the past with your work, but like, you know,
Yeah.
goals to kind of just help deteriorate that narrative.
To keep wanting to be authentic at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I've always been a big advocate over quality over quantity. And I say that because, especially in this generation with things going in a digital direction, so many people are so focused on content, pushing things out. And you're not even sure if it's 100% accurate. You know, you didn't really like investigate or like, do your research or look into it or talk to the credible sources that you need to speak with.
Right.
You know, and it's more so just about how much to say like, oh, we're doing X, Y, we're doing this, you know, we're doing so much. But it's like, is it accurate? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I always want to make sure that anything that has my name on it is relevant, is accurate, so it shows, you know, my integrity, and
Absolutely.
it also shows, you know, that I have accountability.
Yeah.
And that I want people to really see, like, I'm not trying to just tell you something to tell you something. I'm trying to explain it so that you can have an understanding of why it might affect you, or, you know, someone you might love, or, you know.
So we can start to inform,
Yes,
right?
at the end of the day. So I just want to make sure that I'm held accountable for, you know, the news that I put out, and I want to make sure that it's done right, because I feel like that's what the people who are seeing it deserve at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
No, we can't cuss on here. We're not going to do that. But no half, but stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Respectfully. So I think we learned, do your research and stop playing.
Stop playing.
Literally. So, Kaylynn, I want to thank you so much for being here, talking to the people, having the conversations that matter.
Absolutely.
It's been so fun chatting with y'all.
Thank
Kaylynn and I
you.
had a great time. And we